Howdy, y'all. How y'all doing? Hope y'all are doing good. I'm doing good. Sun's out. Oh my God. So special. I don't have that much time today, but here we go. Today's video is about my strategies for not getting burnt out while I am working on music 24 hours a day, including sometimes waking up out of sleep and being like, okay, that's a thing that I need to be writing about. First major thing that I wanted to talk about is I make sure that I'm not cramming all of the things that I need to do that are on my list all into like 1 or 2 days of the week. Oh, I've tried that before and it does not work for me. My nose is so big that every time I take a sip of coffee, I get coffee on the tip of my nose. That's annoying. But what I mean by don't cram, I make sure that I'll set up a schedule for myself to work on the music, on the goals that I've been trying to reach at that particular time. Like say if I'm trying to write a new song to a track that Aromat has given me, I set down an hour or 2 hours in a day for the whole week where I can sit down, I can listen to the track, I can write what I think relates to that track, and then I can record it. Sometimes not when I'm out here, I can't, but then I'll record it and I'll listen back and see how it fits, see how it sits in with the cadence of the track that's already made, and go from there. And by the end of the week, because I didn't cram it into all 1 day or 2 days, I can hear it differently. Like sometimes if you leave a project, especially as an artist, I'm sure that you know this, if you leave a project for a little while after purging on it artistically and creatively, and you come back to it, and you give it space to breathe, your perspective changes on it, and it helps with the process of creating a more whole piece. So when I'm on a ship, I obviously have to have a schedule for music because most of the day I'm working. I work 12-hour days, and so I can't do music during that time that I'm working. So I have to be very particular about the time that I can set for music. I'm not a very good organized scheduler. I don't really like scheduling at all. I like flying by the seat of my pants, but it's helped me so much to stay organized when I schedule things out and write them down in a calendar. I had to put my hat on because we turned around and it got real windy. Another thing that I make sure to do for me personally is allowing artistic and creative breaks. So if I am starting to feel burnt out, if I am starting to feel overwhelmed, or I feel plateaued creatively on a certain project, I will give that project a break. And that doesn't mean that it happens to all projects. Sometimes I have 2 or 3 pieces of music growing at the same time. And so if I'm feeling more inclined or more drawn to one piece of music, I'll be hyper-focused on that piece. If I'm feeling really plateaued on another piece of music, I'll give that one a little time to settle. Usually something on the outside of me personally will spark some inspiration for an addition to that song that will spice it up a little bit. So I allow breaks, and at first I felt bad about that, and I didn't want to feel like I was failing the piece or the words or the poetry that I was building. And after a little bit of time and a little bit of practice in that, I was able to relax. If you have a melody that you love, that you've created, it's never leaving your brain. I mean, it just stays in there. So you can always come back to a piece. And a break sometimes can be really beneficial. The last thing that really keeps me from getting burnt out personally would have to be when I do have a spurt of inspiration, or I'm feeling incredibly creative, or I'm building something at a really fast pace. I take that and I put it at the top priority of my list. I milk that creativity, wherever that inspiration is coming from, for as long as I possibly can. I ride that train all the way to the station. Because who knows when the next time that I'm going to get that same spurt of inspiration for that same exact piece, creativity level is going to be at the exact same height that it is in that very moment. It's a little inconvenient, but I always jump that to the top of the priority list. Because who knows, it could be the next bango. So those are just a few things that help me from getting burnout when I'm doing music. I'm always trying to schedule my day around moments where that's all I think about, a couple of hours a day. Sometimes it's even just a half an hour if I can squeeze it in. But making that a part of my everyday, and also taking artistic breaks. It's a huge thing for me, is if I'm not feeling something, or if I feel like I'm not honoring a project that I have going on, I will let it settle for a little while and revisit it in the future, just so that I can give it space. I can give myself space from it. I don't want to force anything. That's the last thing that I want to do. And then when I have a new piece and I'm feeling incredibly inspired, I take that and I put it at the very top of my list, and I give it as much attention as it needs, as much time as it needs in that moment, because I don't know when that moment is ever going to happen again. Those are my personal tools. It's been a trial and error for me figuring out what I'm good at as far as making music, what I struggle with, where my creativity comes from, how can I hold on to it. It's a personal journey for every single artist. If you figure out a rhythm for yourself and you start to pay attention to what makes you feel good when you're creating and what makes you feel overwhelmed, what makes you feel burnout, then you can tend to implement those practices that keep you from getting burnout, because we all want to see what you're working on. I hope you guys had an awesome weekend. I know that places are starting to open back up in a couple of states. Use your own discretion and your intuition when you're going out. Just make sure to take really good care of yourself and take care of your family. Have an amazing, beautiful week. I'll see everybody next Monday, and I love you and I appreciate you. And be safe, seriously. I'm serious.